What's going on, people? This end time. Welcome to Drama Free Gaming. It is what it says, and it says what it is. I am on the mic tonight on my own. I decided to jump here kind of late. I didn't give none of the fellas a heads up or anything, just because I didn't want to bother anyone, and I really wasn't too sure that I was gonna jump on. But after about a couple of weeks, just thought that, hey, it's about time. So if you guys are just catching us for the first time here, or if this is not your first time, thank you for hanging out with us here on youtube.com/ at Drama Free Gaming. Again, I'm End Time. I would invite you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, help the algorithm. We're just gonna have a chat tonight. Just a couple of thoughts that I've been having over the last couple of weeks, and just about gaming in general. Gaming is, for me, something that I've been doing since my childhood, as far back as the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis. I still have a Sega Genesis in my possession, actual hardware. Not all of my hardware is hardware as far as like cartridges and stuff. I do have some stuff that I've modified and emulate, and just across the spectrum, I do gaming. However, it's more convenient and accessible to me. So I have a mix there, not only with my Sega Genesis, which I was graced and blessed by my youngest son and his wife imparting with her Genesis. I went and cleaned it up. It was really dusty and just nasty on the inside, to be honest. Cleaned it up, got a couple of controls, got a couple of cartridges, and it works perfectly fine. So I've been enjoying that. And also my Sega Dreamcast, which I just recently modified, which I was really surprised how easy it was. There was no soldering, no, connecting cables and clipping cables and switching things out and whatnot. It was as easy as having the right model system, removing the physical disk drive, and inserting a modded board, which I picked up on Amazon. I didn't even know these things existed, to be honest with you. But just did what I did, and I was just happy that I was able to do that. So, got in there, and it was literally 2 minutes. I went in, came out, and that was that. It was done. I was able to get the whole collection of games, a lot of which I already owned and had backups of before, but completed my collection there and just having fun with that. And yes, one other system that I was able to pick up was the Wii U. Now, I know a lot of you out there are probably saying, ugh, why the Wii U? The Wii U came out and it was a disaster after the success of the Nintendo Wii. Why would you go the route of the Wii U? Well, to be honest, I actually liked the Wii U. And instead of getting the Wii, and I know that some of the earlier models, I'm not sure if all the models of the Wii actually are backward compatible, that you can play your GameCubes on. I'm not sure if it's all of them or not. But with the Wii U, I figured I wanted to get a couple of games that were on there. Like I said, I like the system itself. I like the tablet. It wasn't a big deal. I think it was kind of like a testing ground prototype. Looking back now at the system, I think it was the whole idea of the tablet was what led to Nintendo kind of doubling down and coming out with the Switch. So, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Maybe if we study some gaming history down the line, maybe that'll come up. Maybe it's already a known thing and I'm just not aware of it. And I want to talk to you about that tonight, about why I think every gamer should study gaming history. I've been doing a lot of that here in the last month or so. I've been just scouring the YouTube channels, and I found a couple of channels that I have just been glued to, just watching these documentaries. And so excuse me. And so yeah, I've been enjoying them very much, and just having a blast. And on the screen, if you're watching this live and whatnot, don't worry, it wasn't frozen or anything. It was just that I had the gameplay that I'm running now, about what 6 minutes into this episode, of the game that I was playing here a couple of weeks ago. I haven't returned to this game. Shame on me. But it's a good game. I believe it's called The Last. Well, the name is going to come up here, so let me not just guess. But something about The Last Case of Benedict Fox. And I've shared with you here before on other podcasts, and I've been playing this B-roll in the background on some of the previous episodes. Good game, entertaining, platformer, kind of again falls into that Metroidvania, Castlevania type genre, but overall good game. And it's on Game Pass, so if you're on Xbox, you can go check it out if you have that subscription, which if you don't, in my opinion, you should. Anyways, so we just not so long ago, believe it or not, maybe a couple of weeks ago, specifically, it was June 10th, so about 10 days ago, Xbox had their showcase. PlayStation had their presentation before Xbox, and they announced a bunch of games and showed a lot of trailers. Not a lot of gameplay. They did announce a couple of things that looked kind of cool. And overall, the presentation was amazing. I have to say that Sony does know how to put on a show and a presentation. And I always have to remind myself, hey, they are into filmmaking, right? Sony is into filmmaking. So they should know how to create those sizzle reels, right? That we would call them, to just jump out at you and catch your attention and make you go ooh and ah. And of course, that's the sense that I got watching the show. Afterwards, I kind of went back and watched, because I did watch the PlayStation show, which again was earlier than the Xbox presentation. I did watch it live and just took it all in the moment. And if you would have just told me first impressions, what grade would you have given it? And I know there's people out there that are, they live on this, they thrive on this. Oh, what do you think? What grade would you have given it? An A, a B plus, a C, whatever. I would have just told you, without giving it a grade, without giving it a number, I would have just told you it was impressive. Okay, it was impressive. It kept my attention. It kept me, for the most part, interested. There was a couple of games on there that I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, wow, that game looked like it's copying off of this other game, particularly one that I'm thinking of right now that looked like a PlayStation 5 Splatoon. And if you guys have been following gaming or watched the show, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't even have the title of the game. I really didn't care. Those were kind of the lulls during the PlayStation presentation that I was kind of like, my brain kind of turned off and I wasn't interested. And even though I saw that, I think the developer had a show or a showcase after the fact, trying to make the case that no, the game is not a clone of Splatoon and whatnot. But you know what? It's not a bad thing if it is. Splatoon is not a bad game, in my opinion. I played it. I played Splatoon 2 on the Switch. It was actually the first Splatoon game that I played in the series. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. And I had fun with it. But I mean, long term, it didn't hold my attention, and it wasn't something that I was 100% vested in to go back and play. Would I recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried a Splatoon game? Hey, you're missing out. If you own a Nintendo Switch, go for it. Go and pick it up and play it. And I guarantee you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Maybe even better if you're playing couch co-op. I believe you can play a couch co-op, excuse me, and online as well. So it's a fun time. But games, we know games copy one another, inspire one another. And I would hope for the best, and not because a company sees that something works out for another developer and then they start to chase the trends. And again, a lot of these things that I'm sharing with you this evening is all with the thought that I have even now, as to why, again, I really think that we as gamers should expose ourselves to gaming history. I'm old enough to remember the days of Atari, to have actually played Atari. But gaming is a bit older than that. And so, when you start looking at and you start to view gaming history through these documentaries and whatnot, that people do an excellent job on, you will be surprised how interesting, how fascinating it is, and how a lot of the things that we experience today as gamers that we think are new, that is it's happening now, like it's the first time ever that this has happened. It's already happened in the industry already. The industry has gone through growths and through trends. It has crashed. It has come back. It has crashed again. It has come back. It's reinvented itself. It's gone through other trends, and people have jumped on the bandwagon and have flooded the market with clones of the same types of games and whatnot, to the extent that there were so many similar games doing the same thing, again, because it was the popular thing to do. It was the catchy thing to do, that it just, most of the developers that jumped on board too little too late, well, they just fell to the wayside. And a lot of great games that might have had potential if they would have gotten on the bandwagon earlier, or if they would have been the innovators, if they would have been the first ones out the gate, those would have been the games that would have succeeded. And this is what this market is like. I'm beginning to understand it a bit more. And that's just me as a hobbyist, as a gaming enthusiast, as just a regular guy who grew up playing games. To think that the gaming industry is about half a century old, 50 years, maybe a little bit more. And I was there. I'm 48, going on 49 here soon, hopefully. God willing, if I don't keel over and die. But it's just when that dawned on me, I said to myself, wow, here is something literally that I'm enjoying today in adulthood that I've passed on to my kids. At least my boys play. My daughters, well, they dabble in gaming and whatnot, and my youngest, daughter, she's stuck on, the I call it Fortnite, just like the rest of the kids out there, and she might play some, Forza Horizon, which she enjoys, Forza Horizon 4, and she's into the car scene right now and whatnot. But as far as their exposure outside of just like a handful of games, my boys actually play games much more. My youngest son plays his Xbox. He has his Steam Deck. He emulates. He loves his gaming. Shout out to my son Caleb if he's listening to this. And my oldest Joshua, shout out to him as well. He's my Nintendo guy. He loves his Nintendo gaming, and has played a slew of the RPGs on that system. So it's been cool. It's been cool to see them love and enjoy the hobby as much as I do. And I find myself sometimes tempted to collect. And so I've brought, again, I have a mixture of, I've actually got some games physically just for the older systems. Again, that I mentioned before, the Wii U. I got a couple of Wii U games, a couple of Wii games as well, and mostly because of nostalgia, to be honest, guys. Because I look at the gaming, field today, and if I can tell you that I'm genuinely looking forward to a game, I can probably tell you one game that I'm actually looking forward to it. And if you want to know what that game is, you're going to have to hear me out here because I'm not going to give it away yet. But but there's a lot of games. We have a lot of games. But studying gaming history, you'll begin to understand, to realize, and maybe better appreciate what these developers go through. Sometimes seeking to do the right thing, in my opinion, and sometimes not doing the right thing because they're chasing trends instead of being innovative, and doing their own thing and looking just to cash in, and then they just go the way of the dodo. They just are here one moment, a flash in the pan, and they're gone the next. And again, that's just the industry. And so a couple of games, I know I mentioned PlayStation, a couple of games that they showed off, of course, Spider-Man 2 looks really, really good. I played Spider-Man 1. I did not end it. I started it up multiple times and got sidetracked doing the side missions. But the game was so enjoyable to play that I just had fun. I just had fun swinging around New York City, doing these side missions, and just enjoying the game for the time that I did. I wasn't really captivated by the story or anything. I don't know, maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't, but it didn't get its hooks in me. So after starting it twice, I think, I put it down and I haven't returned to it. Again, nothing wrong with the game, just me. Just me. If a game doesn't capture my attention, after a little while, I put it down and I'm done with it. So Spider-Man 2 looks good. Of course, PS5, or I should say a PlayStation exclusive. So if you're going to play that game, it's going to be on that system. And I may not play that game for a good long time, because I'm not going to pay $70 for the game. I just don't see myself doing that. Definitely I'm not. I'm just going to be honest. I think that Game Pass has made me think differently about purchasing games. And I've said it here before. My collection of gaming on the new platforms, and I primarily play on Xbox, even though I own PlayStation 5 and my Switch OLED. My collections of games are digital. And, on Xbox, it's all digital. On my PlayStation 5, I told myself that when I did get a PlayStation 5, I would want the one with the hard disk, which is the one that I do have. But I don't have a physical game for it. Not now. I did subscribe to their model where you get access to some of their PlayStation 4 games and whatnot, and I got a couple of digital purchases that I carried over from previous from my previous collection on my PlayStation 4. But up until now, no physical copies. And I don't know. It's gonna be tougher for me to purchase anything for the PlayStation 5 because forking over $70 for a digital game, I can't fathom that. Whereas having a subscription on PlayStation gives me access to a bunch of games that I did not play on the PlayStation 4. I didn't get a chance to, and now I am. And I rather just have the subscription and play them that way. And if I really, really, really want the game in my collection, I just wait until it's a very deep sale and I'll purchase it. And more than likely, it's going to be a digital purchase. You know, I have my thoughts on that. Owning again a Wii U, a Sega Dreamcast, and a Sega Genesis. Two of those three systems I have modded, and I know that one day those systems are going to give out. The hardware is just going to stop working. And I guess I'm okay with that. Those are two systems that will come from a time period where you didn't have the digital accessibility to games. Everything was a hard copy. Now I have those games and my files backed up on a SD card, and because I have the means to play those backups on my physical hardware, it's enjoyable for me. But when the hardware fails, well, I guess I can just turn over to my PC and find an emulator to play the games on and carry on. But there's something to be said about playing on actual hardware. And I just speak for myself as just a person that experienced, again, the Atari, the 2600, the 5200, the all the models, 7800, I believe was the last one that I played, a ColecoVision. I played a ColecoVision before and remember playing Keystone Capers on that and other games on that. I believe I played Donkey Kong on that, if I'm not mistaken. And then Nintendo, the original NES, the Super NES, or SNES, as some people would call it. Again, in Japan, right? The Super Famicom and the Famicom. Those were systems that either I had or a friend of ours had, and we would go play and hang out and play the games of that time. And playing them today on the actual hardware just brings back that nostalgia, and it's fun. Just like today, I'm playing games on my Xbox Series X and on my PlayStation 5. They're digital games. I'm playing them on the hardware, but I don't think any less of it because this is the times that we live in. And this is how the media is made accessible to us. So I don't even give it a second thought. When I die, there's not going to be a physical collection. There'll be an account. And I know that account is only as good as long as the servers are up. And, and that's not taken down. Like Nintendo has infamously done with their prior systems and services, where they've locked games on certain platforms and in certain digital storefronts that up until today we can't access them because, well, they shut it down. So I mean, that's the woes of today, right? Those are the risks of going digital today. But what's it going to be tomorrow? I think about the same thing with I don't give it too much thought, to be honest, but think about virtual reality, right? And the headsets that we purchase now, and what's going to happen when the technology gets better, and for whatever reason, companies say, well, your previous headset is not supported anymore. We've moved on to the next model and to the next games, and it's just going to make your headset obsolete. And whatever, games you got on it, I mean, that's a platform that you're not purchasing anything physical. The hardware, what you're wearing on your head and the controllers you have in your hands, that's it. That's the only hardware you have. Everything else is digital. What's going to happen when they shut down those servers? You're stuck then with some hardware, and that's it. It's not, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be emulated or something. I mean, I'm sure that even now and I know I'm aware of sites and whatnot that you can, you don't have to go into like the official stores of these headsets. You can go into these other curated storefronts and whatnot and play games from other platforms and created by just the public, by gamers and whatnot. So yeah, all that to say that what we are experiencing now and what we look at now and the things that we are enjoying now and the very same things that we complain about as well, the very things that we shake our heads at sometimes in disbelief, the things I'm even guilty of it, that we call garbage. We say, oh, dang, that game is garbage. It's going to be history one day. We might not understand fully or know the full story now of why certain games come out and they just come out in a state that is just horrendous. I'm not going to mention names. A few come to mind even recently. But you guys who do the gaming scene and follow the gaming scene, you've heard of Redfall, you've heard of Cyberpunk, you've heard of No Man's Sky. I mean, all these games came out in a terrible state. And No Man's Sky, again, turned it around. Developers kept working on it. Cyberpunk 2077 seems to be in a much better place. I haven't played it, so I can't tell you that. But from what I hear, from what I see, from reviews and even additional content that's dropping, the game is in a much, much, much better place. But do we take into consideration that the older gaming gets, right? We're 50 years in and we've come a long way. Technology has moved quickly. Things that come out today or at least at one point, something would come out and 6 months later, maybe a year later, there was a bigger, better thing, or maybe a smaller, better thing. And now it's almost like, what's that law? They say the law of diminishing returns. Now it just seems like the hardware that we have, these generations of, and I'm speaking to consoles, but I'm sure it applies to PC gaming as well. We have such beefed up CPUs, GPUs that developers are only beginning to scratch the surface as far as creating for this new tech. And by the time they get done bringing their vision for a game to fruition, well, we're already 4 or 5 years deep into technology, and there's already been another reiteration of a GPU or of a CPU, or and so what we're playing today on our current gen consoles, on an Xbox Series X or on a PlayStation 5, are games that have been in development for 3 4 years. And the tech that we have in our systems, well, it's not really probably taking full advantage, or developers haven't even had the opportunity to really develop for the system because the tech just came out, or I should say is more modern or newer than the actual game or project that they were working on. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we don't, sometimes we don't take that into consideration. We're kind of oblivious to it or ignorant to that. And again, I come back full circle and talk about gaming history. And when you go into gaming history, and you can just go on YouTube, and when you go on YouTube you'll find a bunch of channels. One that does video game documentaries that I recently was recommended to by one of my community members and a brother of mine here on Discord at Drama Free Gaming. If you're not there, you should be. um Come and join us. We have a good time there. We talk about gaming. I know right now he's actually on his Discord and he's playing Mega Man. Last night he was playing the OG Mega Man, and was on the last stage, Dr. Wily's Castle, I believe, in the last boss. And he was just trying to finish it legit. So more power to Sleeky Boy for doing that. But where was I going with that? But yeah, but he actually put me on to No Clip. That's NOCLIP, No Clip. Just one word. If you look that up on YouTube, you'll find them. And they do video game documentaries, and they're legit. They are legit, man. Just go check them out. I've been watching a couple of their documentaries. Just one that I finished watching here before jumping on the mic, which was really good, was on what was the game? I'm trying to remember now. Half-Life, on Half-Life. And I was just blown away by just the documentary and the game itself, and the history and the fans behind it, and how a third game has not been released. It kind of left the series on a cliffhanger after Half-Life 2, and and the game might never be made. And it was just fascinating. It was really interesting. And I left with this thought. I said, wow, this game, I remember Half-Life. I remember what was the other game that was Team Fortress. I'm blanking on another game here that I have in mind that was very popular and started kind of like the esports before Call of Duty. I'm blanking on it right now, but if you guys remember it, just put it in the chat. But during that time, these games that came out and whatnot, and I said to myself, wow, I've never played Half-Life. I never played the game. I played Portal, and I'm aware of Half-Life, but I never played it. And so now I'm looking forward to picking it up for my Steam Deck and going through the game. Like, I'm actually going to go and play it, an old school game, play Half-Life 1 and experience it. And why do I want to do that? Because I got a better, deeper understanding and appreciation for a game and a game that changed, that revolutionized. And those are words that maybe other people are throwing around today, speaking about games coming out right now. Let me tell you, I don't really think that there's any games coming out right now, and I might be mistaken, but this is my opinion, that are revolutionizing the industry, that are breaking new ground, that are causing developers to go in another direction. Eventually, it might happen. I mean, that's how trends begin, but right now, like this present moment at the time of this recording, no, I don't think that there's any game out here or any game that has been announced. And the game I'm looking forward to, included, it's not really breaking any new ground. It's not revolutionizing anything. It's not pioneering anything. But this game did. Half-Life did. It influenced a lot of genres and the gaming industry as a whole. And so you should go check it out. No Clip is the name of the channel. Go check it out. You're going to have a great time. Another channel that I am subscribed to. Let me see as I'm going through my subscriptions here. The Gaming Historian. So Gaming Historian is another channel that I have enjoyed. Great production, has been out for quite some time. I've seen stuff there for Sega, for Nintendo. It's just been great. It's been really, really good to see this channel, and I love when the Gaming Historian again brings out like original hardware. The last one I saw here was on Duck Hunt and the Light Zapper, and how the origins of that Light Zapper it goes back further back than Nintendo. Nintendo wasn't the one that originated that Light Zapper. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even games as we know it were not even a thing. That Light Zapper and that whole technology and that whole idea is much, much older. And so you should go check out the Gaming Historian if you're even remotely curious now, as I've kind of like put that out there. And it's a lot of fun. Listen, this is what's going to happen when you start watching gaming history, these documentaries, and you start watching these retrospective reviews on even games that are more modern. You start getting a better idea and hopefully a better appreciation for gaming as a whole. Again, we know how it works out here with media, right? With YouTube, with social media. The news is always looking for the fire. It's always looking for the train wreck. It's always looking for the drama. And that's why I call this channel Drama Free, because even though we've had our moments where we have complained and we have griped and we have moaned and groaned, I hope that it's been because we have known better, and we have experienced a time in gaming where gaming for us was fresh, was new, was breaking ground. When Street Fighter jumped up on the scene, and the fighting, the fighting community started to build, right? And then the competitive side of that started coming through, and then the other games that spawned out of Street Fighter, right? And created that whole genre. But I was there. I was there in the arcade. I remember the first Street Fighter, which no one speaks about. That game was terrible. The control of it was terrible. The frame rate and the whole 9 yards, it was terrible. Nothing compared to Street Fighter 2. It was day and night. That's why when people usually speak about Street Fighter and are reminiscing about Street Fighter, they're talking about Street Fighter 2. They're not talking about Street Fighter 1. Okay? But go back. Go back and look up Street Fighter 1. And you'll see that was, again, the beginning, the inception, the moment that genre broke through. I mentioned here Mega Man a moment ago, another game that just exploded on the scene. Castlevania, another game that exploded on the scene and brought something new, fresh. Of course, Super Mario, right? And Super Mario World and all these other games, and Mario Kart and all these games, again, that we today might take for granted because, we've already had 6, 7, 8 of the same game, just the game being modernized and being added to, and the tech is better now and the graphics are better now and all that other stuff. But go back to the roots, go back to see where these developers came from and where the ideas came from and how these teams got together and how they were formed. And you'll be wild. You'll be like, dang, it was almost like the stars aligned, and some of these gentlemen that got together, these companies, these developers, some who started in garages and in rundown buildings, and the teams of 3, 4, 5 people are the major developers today, creating these AAA, games that are taking longer and longer and longer to produce. And here we are. We're a society that consumes everything. We're like parasites. We're like locusts. It was another channel that I'm getting this description from, and I'm gonna give you the name of the channel. Another channel here. I've mentioned 2 so far, but this guy, his channel is Never Knows Best. So that's NEVERKNOWSBEST. Just one word, just put it all together, no spaces. Never Knows Best. He has some awesome videos that y'all need to watch. His videos are lengthy. The first one that I saw that he put out was one that he did on the entire history of gaming. And I kid you not, I think it's like a 7-hour video or something. I watched it over multiple days. Fascinating stuff. But he has a bunch of videos on his channel. Don't get turned off by his voice. He may sound a bit monotone but you know what? He's good to go. He is good to go. Hang in there, listen to what he's talking about, his points of views, his critiques on games. I saw another one that he put out on what's the game, on Dark Souls. I'm looking at one now that he's made. I haven't watched it yet, but a critique on The Witcher 3. And it's just, again, it's fascinating to hear these individuals whom, when you hear them and you see their stuff, you realize these are people who've been playing. They're not just talking. They've played these games. They were there when these games first came out on the scene, and they just have this appreciation, and they're able to look at it and share with us, maybe who are again not as exposed to games, or maybe newer to gaming, or our idea of retro is the Xbox, the OG Xbox. When somebody tells me, hey, yeah, my retro experience is OG Xbox, I'm like, dang, that's still modern for me. You talk to me about retro, you got to give me like Sega Master System, NES, SNES, Atari. Though that's retro for me. But again, gaming is great because it doesn't matter where you jump in, when you've been exposed to it. You can have a deeper appreciation, guys, if you go and look at the history. Just, I'm not telling you to make it a chore or anything, but maybe you have some time, maybe you're bored or something, or you're taking a break from that game that you're playing or whatnot. Go check out those channels that I mentioned. Never Knows Best. What was the other one I said? No Clip. Again, those documentaries on there, and Gaming Historian. Those are just three out of a bunch of really great channels out here that will expose you to gaming history. So I haven't forgotten, and I am going to mention the game that I'm actually curious and hopefully optimistic for. I'm not really, jumping on this bandwagon, and the only reason why I think I'm even considering playing it day one is because, again, it's going to be on the Xbox and it's going to be on Game Pass. And so by now, you guys should know the game that I'm alluding to here, and that game is Starfield. I really think that this game has a potential of being good. It's a single player game from Bethesda. A game that's been in development for quite some time, I believe, 10 years or so. So again, think about that. The game was being developed before your PlayStation 5 and your Xbox Series X was put out. Okay? So don't anticipate or think that it's going to do some mind bending, mind blowing, pushing the tech that you have currently right now to the next level. It's not going to do that. But appreciate the game for what it is. Okay. And this game looks like it's going to be very involved. But I'm drawn to it because, believe it or not, it's given me something that I'm looking for, and it's a world that I can explore like on my own. And I'm not talking about just an open world, because all these games that you see now, and again, people following the trend, all these games are open world. And there's so much to do, and so many side quests, and so many, things to do outside of the story. One of the documentaries that I saw, I think it was Never Knows Best. He made the comment on, was it Elden Rings? I believe it was Elden Rings. He was saying that the game, itself doesn't like hold your hand. I think that's what he was saying. I think maybe he was talking about that, or maybe he was talking about Dark Souls, possibly Dark Souls. Anyways, but one of the comments that he made was just how he played the game, and how I think he plays like just more of these open world games. He plays them without any of the markers on the map, right? Like if you play your open world games today, you see that there's, markers everywhere, that shows you where is this item and where is that item and where's this side mission and where's that side mission. And you look at a game, you can just go ahead and pick any Ubisoft open world game, right? And you see that, and the map is just colored with markers that shows you countless tasks to do, to run, countless side missions and collectibles and all this other stuff. And if you're a person that you have a fixation with collecting every last item and every last thing that there is in a game, yeah, you're going to live in that world for 100 plus hours, right? And one of the interesting things that I drew from one of Never Knows Best's videos was this, that he said, it went down this path, and again, these are my own words, but gaming went down this path of being this open world and having all these things to do. Why? Because we're leeches. Because we get content and we consume it. And some of us out here, that's our life. We just play the game into the ground, and we're done with content that maybe took 10 years to develop. We're done with it in 2 weeks. And then here we're hungry for what's next. Like, I guarantee you, just pay attention to the next time a brand new IP drops. Probably even before the IP drops, you'll start hearing the media outlets, and you'll start hearing the podcasts out there, and you'll start hearing just the whole general public talking about what's next. What's next? What's the DLC? What are they going to do next? How are they going to up this game? And it's like, take a step back, people. Like hold your horses. Like, can't you just enjoy the experience that's in front of you? Can't you just enjoy the content that's in front of you? I made a comment here to the fellas when we were on, and I think Henyo said, yeah, you know what? I kind of like that approach, Anton, that you're taking. I made the comment that I'm just at a place right now where I just want to touch as many games as I can. And what I mean by that, guys, is that I have access to so many games. We all have a backlog. And I used to just get frustrated, upset, and just say to myself, wow, I don't have time to pick up this game and play. And sometimes I would get so frustrated or overwhelmed that something that should have just been fun, that I should have just been enjoying, just became overwhelming. And then I just shut down. And instead of playing for just the enjoyment part, I would just completely set it aside and just become frustrated with it. Why? Because I felt like at one point, no, if you start a game, you're obligated to see it through. Well, I'm not. There's no hard rule out there that is telling me that that's how I have to game. Maybe when I was much, much younger and I lived in my mom's house and my only responsibility was going to school and then coming home from school, and maybe on the weekend play my NES or my Sega Genesis or whatnot, or I can, rent a game from Blockbuster and play it over the weekend and stay up all night Friday, all night Saturday, all night Sunday, or whatever to return it and get through that RPG. Yeah, maybe then, but not now. And even still, with all the games that are here, I don't want to miss out on games just because I feel like I have to make a commitment of 30, 40, 50 hours to a game. I'm like, no, I'm going to turn on a game that I'm curious, that I want to see, that I want to experience. And if that experience carries me an hour, 2 hours into the game, great. If I continue after that, great. If I don't, because it just didn't capture my attention, it didn't hook me like that, then guess what? I'm moving on. I'll move on and play something else. And that's just me, guys. That's just me. Again, because I want to experience the games and I have the means to experience the games. A lot of times, to be honest, I'm like Dark Dad. I'm going back and playing the retro games. I play my Outrun. I play, Donkey Kong. I'm playing Burger Time. I'm playing, Keystone Capers. I just connected my Sinden light guns. And so on my arcade machine, on my arcade setup, I'm playing those arcade games that you played in the arcades with the gun, with the light gun, and I'm having a blast. Play Terminator and Time Crises and Lethal Enforcers. It's been fun, and that's what it's really all about, guys. It's about having the fun when you can, when you have the time. And gaming should never ever be a chore, and we shouldn't be so in a rush to get out here. And I mean, unless that's your job, unless that's what you do, you get the game early and you play the game and you have to play it and you have to kind of like just force yourself through the game. That's not me. I wouldn't be able to do that. And even if I had the time to do it, I can't see myself just running through a game just because. I just had an experience with an indie game on Game Pass. I think it's called HOA, HOA. And no, it's not short for Homeowners Association. So it's an indie game. I fired it up. I like the art style. Didn't know nothing about the game. I didn't look it up or anything. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna try this. Fired it up on Game Pass, and about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours into the game, I went through it in that sitting, and it was a nice little story. There was nothing complicated, no guns, no nothing. I couldn't die. It was further into the game that I realized and said, wait a minute, there's really no mechanics here for my character to die. It was just a simple jump, and trying to just platform to get to like certain items. And after collecting a certain amount of certain items, I would go back to whoever the thing was on the stage to advance to the next one, and it just pieced a nice little story together, and that was my experience, and that was fine. And again, coming full circle, I think that gamers should, to gain a better, more profound appreciation of the games that you play today, you should check out some gaming history. Go check out, where these ideas originated, where these genres, spawned from. These games that today you and I, again, we take for granted. We play. We can't wait for the next one to come out and the next one to come out and the following one. And how are they gonna one up this one? Listen, it's just great to know that gaming is still very young. 50 years. That's it. 50 years. And we are at a point right now where technology is so advanced. We live in a time where we have, virtual reality headsets that are getting better. We have, lifelike graphics. And if you're into that thing, that's great. I really can care less about games being hyper realistic. But again, maybe it's because I'm old. But yeah. And not just virtual reality, and not just lifelike graphics, but also we're looking at augmented reality and mixed reality. And even Apple has a headset coming out that, to be honest, I'm really interested in, and I'm keeping an eye on because I like what they're doing there. And I've made comments here before as to, my thoughts on VR, and I really like the augmented or the mixed reality more so than the virtual reality. I think that so much more can be done with it. And I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe that'll change later on as gaming continues to grow. Developers continue to figure out this tech, and I just hope and really wish for the time that I have left on this planet, that my gaming experience won't be so cluttered with, drama or the anticipation of a game that is only going to come out, 5 or 6 or 7 years down the road. Like, I don't have time for that. I always, I always use this.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I'm looking more at retro gaming now, more at the smaller experiences. Indie games are on the scene, and I really think that that's where it's at. And every so often, I'll poke my head up and play maybe or expose myself to a, what people like to say, a AAA banger. But other than that, I'm quite happy with my, with my retro gaming, with my Outrun and Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and and those experiences. Don't worry about it. You guys who are listening to me who are much younger, you'll get there. You'll get to a place in your gaming life where you'll be saying the same thing. You'll be saying, yeah, I remember when games were much simpler and it was just much more fun. And now look, this is too complicated for me. And now we're waiting 15 years for the sequel to whatever this other game is. Like, nah. I really think that the industry is going to eventually figure it out to where indies are going to be the ones who are going to really be front and center. And I really think that that's what's happening now. I really think that indie developers are the ones who are really evolving and innovating and shaping the landscape, and are going to be the ones who are going to bring the changes to this wonderful industry that I love, this gaming industry. So those are my 2 cents. We'll talk more about that on the next one. But thank you for hanging out. Appreciate each and every one of you. Come over to Drama Free Gaming on our Discord. We would love to have you there. And of course, here on Drama Free Gaming at youtube.com. Appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, guys. Be good, do good, and as always, keep your life and your gaming drama free. Later, people.